just talk specifically about the lineup of Star Wars shows and books for the rest of the year. We've got Ahsoka that's coming late in the summer. If you're over in the US, we've got the High Republic Phase 3 for the book fans, which I know at least me and Mike are super psyched to get that underway. And then, of course, Skeleton Crew is going to be streaming later this year, which, I mean, that's going to be the surprise packet, I suppose, which I'm super excited for. But let's start with Parks and talk about what are we feeling for the lineup for the rest of 2023?
So, first off, my biggest sort of request as a Star Wars fan would be like to space things out. We're currently getting that. Things are, we're not getting anything for the rest of the summer, and then Ahsoka comes in August, I think. I'm pretty excited for that show. I know some people have said like, oh, after Mando season 3, not really excited for Ahsoka. I remain, I think, just as excited as I was before. Mind you, I was at Celebration, and Ahsoka kind of had the spotlight at Celebration. So I'm very like, I got really close, you could say, to like just the excitement for that. But no, I don't necessarily think Dave Filoni. I think separating Dave Filoni from Jon Favreau, as we're going to see in Ahsoka, is going to be a good recipe for success. This seems like, more than maybe any other thing he's worked on for Lucasfilm, a passion project, which is very interesting to think about because Dave Filoni's made so many Star Wars stories, and this might be like the thing he puts the most work into. There's intriguing stuff. I like that we're getting like new characters, like what is it, Balin, and then the other, like, not Sith but not actually Sith. Like, it's interesting. Like, it's like, despite we're getting Rebels characters, we're getting Ahsoka in this show, we're still getting original characters, which is, I think, a really good sign that, this isn't just a fan service type thing. Yeah, I'm optimistic about it. Skeleton Crew, like I said earlier, I like John Watts. I like Spider-Man No Way Home. He's not the most interesting director, but there's some really interesting episodic directors that have announced for this. Boy, I wish I could remember some of them, but Peter Ramsey's going to be in it. Spider-Verse director. He directed one episode of The Mandalorian, The Pirate, which was, I think, one of my, better enjoyed episodes of that season. Yeah, he's in it, and God, I wish I could remember some of the other directors, but yeah, I'm in for it. It's different, It's good when Star Wars is tapping into different genres, and that's that's what Skeleton Crew seems like it might do. And then was there
the High Republic?
The High Republic. I am still catching up on Phase 1, but it seems cool, and the High Republic's coming soon to the Acolyte, when that probably comes next year. So that's a good era. For anyone who hasn't read the books, like as someone who's currently still reading Phase 1, Light of the Jedi is a fantastic book. And The Rising Storm, I'm currently in the middle of that. Fantastic book. As far as I know, you can just read those main novels and you're fine. So I recommend The High Republic. There's my thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, how are you feeling going into the rest of 2023?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident. It definitely feels like we've gotten through the main stuff. I was really looking forward to Bad Batch, Mandalorian season 3, and now we're just kind of not that this is all leftovers, but it just seems like the more enjoyable stuff that I was looking forward to has passed. But that's okay. Because Ahsoka, I think, has a lot to offer. I'm really intrigued and kind of excited, but also kind of scared to see how where the stories of our favorite Rebel characters end up. Like, what is the story of Ezra and Ahsoka and Thrawn? Like, where does that continue? Where did Ezra and Thrawn end up? Because in my fanfic mind, I went to Ezra and Thrawn became allies in hopes to survive, because wherever they ended up, they probably needed to help each other, aid each other. Why is Thrawn around? Why isn't Ezra? Now there's just more questions. So I always thought that they would just become friends or something, in wherever they ended up. Maybe they ended up in the unknown regions, and Thrawn was like, oh, Chiss Ascendancy, here's Ezra Bridger, here, join Eli Vanto type deal. But all in all, Ahsoka, visually, to me, I'm just a little kind of like, kind of looks just all right. I'm not going to be too picky with it. I'm just like, it's a show. What do you expect? But other than that, like some of the music, I'm excited for the Kiner family to do that, because I finally think that they finally, it's great to see them finally get the spotlight and get the live action music,
Yeah.
you know, composer credit and having to do that work, because I think they've earned it long time ago. I think since like Clone Wars season 1, I'm like, yeah, finally someone thought at Lucasfilm. So that's great that they're making their live action Star Wars music direction debut. So I'm looking forward to that. Skeleton Crew, I really don't care if it's or how how heavily involved it is with the Mando storyline, but I do love that it's exploring a different genre, with kind of like that Steven Spielberg, 80s movie vibe. So I'm excited for that. Like E.T.
Stranger Things, you
vibe,
could even
Stranger
argue.
Things, yeah, all that stuff. Like I'm looking forward to that. I'm very excited to see how that will feel, and it looks interesting. I think that Jude Law, the revelation that his character is a Jedi or whatnot, I'm like, okay, cool. Where are we gonna go with this? So lots of things at play there, but I'm just like, I really have no expectations for it other than hopefully it's a cool adventure every week. That I'm down for anything. And High Republic, it's kind of crazy how High Republic for me, phase 1 was brilliant, ended on a very sour note with Fallen Star, in my opinion. I was just like, it felt fat for me. I'm sorry, Parks. I want your opinion though. It's a controversial book. It's a controversial book. I'll give it that. So I'm on the side that I didn't like the book. But phase 2, I have not read a single bit of it, because they went back in time and it's like you just spent, a better half of, or more than a year trying to, learn these characters, fall in love with them, and you do so. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're going to take a year or so off and we're going to go on a different adventure and throw you back in even more time. I know you guys were just learning this new environment and this new era. We're going to throw you in for a whirlwind 200 years before that or whatever. You're going to have to learn about new characters, and there's some connecting pieces and stuff like that. I'm like, what? You did all this world building just for us, just to throw us in a new playground and be like, all right, time to start up again. It's like, we just did that. So it's just it just really was discouraging. And some of the things that I was hearing about, I was just like, it doesn't seem like my temple, but it's all good.
Is phase 3 gonna be like more in the time of phase 1, or is it gonna be closer to phase 2?
It's gonna take place a year after phase 1.
So we've got a machete order High Republic.
Yes, we do. They definitely took the George Lucas approach. They're like, all right, this is gonna be the original start, then we're gonna do a prequels, and then we're gonna do a sequel. So definitely the George Lucas approach. But the third phase I'm looking forward to. I will read those. I do want to see where all our favorite characters do show up and stuff. And I think now is a great time if you play Jedi Survivor, and we won't get into spoilers, but based off what you've seen in the trailer, that it is connected to the High Republic. I'm excited for more people to dive into this world. So as Parks just said, dive into Live of the Jedi, and it's definitely your gateway to all the High Republic books. So
especially if you're a prequels fan, I have to say, because the way it walks back, like there's sort of the state of the world of the prequels is like brilliant. It's so well thought out.
Exactly. So definitely do that. I'm a person that when I was reading Live of the Jedi, I struggled so hard to visualize environments that I wasn't familiar with. Like I just struggled with that so much, and Live of the Jedi just does that so beautifully, and the books just carry that on, maybe except Fallen Star, but they just carry on that world building and beautiful highlight on all the things that make the era really special.
Yeah, definitely. And to sort of add to where you guys were going with all that, I think just for me personally, the long, when I think about the long term of Star Wars, it almost just overwhelms me. So to sort of just crunch down and think about, okay, this year, let's just think about this year, Ahsoka. I'm obviously a massive Rebels fan. To hear that be talked about as a Rebels season 5 gives me so much excitement, but also so much fear, because the prospect of that it is so promising, but also moving it to live action with trying to connect it to the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
really kind of freaks me out and makes me
The
worried that they're not
Mandoverse is
going to
really the
do
X
it justice.
factor because this seems
Yeah.
like this show will be seriously laying the groundwork for like the Filoni movie we know is eventually coming. So like, will
Yeah.
this be a complete story or is it gonna be, not that?
Yeah, no, for sure. And so yeah, overall though, the trailer that Ahsoka did drop, I thought looked fantastic, which is something you can't say a lot about the recent live action Star Wars shows. Definitely at times you can, but I was really impressed with the trailer, and I completely agree with Parks' take on separating Filoni from Favreau. I think it's gonna be super refreshing, and yeah, seeing a vision that's truly his, and yeah, as Park said, this is his passion project, which I think is going to make it fantastic. Another sort of super exciting thing, but also freaking me out, is the recasting of Ezra. I've banged on about it forever. He's my favorite Star Wars character. I am super intrigued to see what they're going to do, but I'm also just a little wary. I'd just say cautiously optimistic. So yeah, also Kevin Kiner, as Mike said, getting back into the seat is great. Skeleton Crew, I think, is going to be super refreshing. I think Star Wars is begging for something in a different genre, especially after what we got with Mando season 3. I think something to just really mix it up, give us something new, and let's just dive in. It's similar to Andor, where going into it, I just had no idea what to expect, and then it delivered something that I truly couldn't have even imagined, and it was a new sort of genre, a new field to play in. And I'm not to hold Skeleton Crew to that higher standard, but I'm going in hoping for a similar result. And to finish it off with High Republic, I'm a massive fan of Phase 1. I'm completely with Mike on Phase 2. Haven't touched it. I've heard quite negative things about it, to be honest.
Are those
I think
Phase 2 books on your bookshelf, Mike?
So thank you, Disney Books, for sending them to me. I'll read them eventually.
It's all right.
Yeah. Anyway, no, but I unlike Mike, I actually really enjoyed Fallen Star, so I'm just super pumped to get back into those characters, that story, and I think it's the right decision to finally jump back in. So yeah, those are our thoughts on the rest of the year's lineup of Star Wars content. We're all pretty excited for it, with a bit of cautious optimism. So yeah, those are our thoughts.